Hey there, Coach Devin here. I want to talk for a minute about the George Floyd murder. And it is a murder. The police officer, unfortunately, knelt on the back of his throat, or neck rather, for almost 9 minutes and killed him on the street. There's video footage for this. It is what it is. I'm not going to get into whether or not the police officer should be charged. My feeling is if you kill somebody on video, that it's like that's evidence right there. It is what it is. You're going to go to jail, or you should go to jail, and hopefully to God he goes to jail. The things I want to touch on are, number one, the protests around this, and number two is police in general. So let's talk protests. There are violent, crazy, wild protests going on all over the U.S. And, I can understand and I get the outrage. I totally get it. Someone is murdered, actually murdered on camera by a police officer. And unfortunately in the US and in a lot of places, Canada sometimes too, police at times, and quite often in the US, murder, black men. It happens. Those are the facts. The numbers are astronomically high in comparison to how they treat white men and white women. It's horrifying, actually. That's the best word. It's horrifying. And I can't, as a white man, I can't understand it exactly. I can say this. I think being racially profiled is awful. People would be horribly insulted because you're saying, the color of my skin, which I have no control over. I can't control whether I'm white or not. My parents controlled that, and they didn't control whether they're white either. So to discriminate or to be negative about someone based on the color of their skin, look, that is the last thing you can't possibly ever have any control over your skin color. It's just not a thing. So as a white man, I can't really talk a lot about being racially profiled, but what I can do, my brother-in-law is Sri Lankan originally, and he's Canadian now. And my nieces are part Sri Lankan, so they're dark skinned. Sam's dark skinned. Sam is a wonderful guy. He's family. I love him. I think he's a fantastic person. I love spending time with him. I'm really hopeful my sister and he will move to Nova Scotia so I can spend more time with him because I really like them a lot. Obviously, I love my sister and I love Sam. I think he's a great guy. He has dealt with lots of racism in his life because of his skin color, which he can't control. No one can control that. And the closest I can get to it is my experiences going through airports. So when I go through an airport with short sleeves, I get randomly selected a lot. So I get checked for drugs. When I go through a body scanner, then they have to pat me down and wand me on top of that. If I wear long sleeves, it doesn't happen. Why? It's all that. It's tattoos. It's the bald head, it's the earrings. They assume, drug dealer, gangster, whatever. I guess I look a stereotypical part. That's something, it is mildly annoying to me, bordering on and funny in some ways, because I don't drink and I don't use drugs. But, that to me is annoying, and I say, what the hell? I've come to a point where I wear this when I go through quite often. It says tattooed and employed, because I think it's kind of amusing that people are pulling me out, and it's, but like I said, mildly annoying. I look at them and I go, come on, man, really? Like, this is ridiculous. But it happens. I can't imagine what it would be like to be, dark-skinned and being pulled out of line all the time based on your skin color, which you can't control. I can control this. I chose it. They can't, as a black person or a dark-skinned person, you can't control that. So for me, it's no wonder people are enraged. Enough with the killing. And I'm going to throw up a picture right there. This sort of, to me, hits it on the head. You have a white police officer and a black police officer in Kansas City saying enough with people getting killed by police. Enough with that stuff. And I think that says it all right there. Everybody's fed up. The issue, I think, sometimes with violent protests is when you have a violent protest, it gets people's attention, but it also is very easy for some people, like politicians and stuff, to aim that and start saying, but look over there. You burnt down that business. You looted this business. You destroyed that police car. You're bad people. And then some other people will say, well, shoot, yeah, that does look really bad. Why are you burning down police cars? What the are you doing, right? So I understand the rage, but I do think, like the rapper Killer Mike said, you got to do this in a way that will change the system. Burning police cars probably not the best way to change the system. It just, and I don't, honestly, I don't have an answer for what you should do, but I do think protesting is very important, and I do think things need to change in the US, in Canada, in everywhere. We got to get rid of racism with police. We got to get rid of, police killing unarmed people, especially black men. That just needs to stop. It can't happen. But my other point with this is that I find very, very frustrating. I have a lot of friends that are police. They are good people. And what I'm seeing is this huge swing on social media and in media in general where they're saying, police are all bad. Okay, that's about the dumbest thing I've heard in a long time. When you say police are all bad, or all people with blue eyes are jackasses, or if you have a bald head, it means you're a criminal, that's ridiculous. And part of the problem we're having here is there are probably a very small minority of police officers that are committing these crimes. There are police everywhere in the US and everywhere in Canada, and some of them are asses. It's a fact. And some of them aren't. I don't know what the percentage is, but I'm assuming a lot of police are actually not, aren't that bad. And they get into this because they want to serve, and they put their lives on their line because they want to serve. So I think it's a problem to go out there and say, okay, we're going to say all police are terrible. Well, that doesn't fix your problem, because you're alienated the good cops that are out there, and there are some, and everybody knows it. And on top of that, you are stereotypically saying everybody in this position and in this job is a terrible person and racist and violent, and that's not a thing. It's just not. And it doesn't help the conversation. It doesn't do anything positive. In the end of the day, there's lots of good police, and what we need is the good police to be on board with the protesters, like in that picture in Kansas City where they're saying enough is enough. There's a lot of good police that want change, and there is probably a small minority of police that are idiots. But we can't say, and I think it's very dangerous to say, everybody who's a police officer is bad, you're inherently evil, and I hate all cops. Well, saying I hate all cops is like saying I hate all personal trainers. That's stupid. And if somebody said, well, I hate personal trainers, they're all assholes. Okay, but you'd have to know all of them. That's why stereotypes are stupid. And unfortunately, what we're getting into at that point is, if you're going to stereotype and say all police are bad, you're doing the same thing that these bad police are doing, who are saying all black men are criminals and they deserve to be shot. You're being as bad as they are. Look, in the end of the day, when we're on the side of when we're right, and in this case we're right, we are morally correct that no one should be killed while being arrested. Police shouldn't just kill black men. We're on the side of being right. Why do we have to get over and act like them? You know what I mean? Like, if you go over and you say all police are bad, then you're acting like all those jackass police officers who are saying all black men deserve to be in jail or shot or whatever. Like, that's not reasonable, and it doesn't help the conversation. What you need is the good police on your side saying we need change. There's lots of good police. Reach out, help, work with those good police officers. Don't be part of the problem. And I think screaming on social media, all police are bad, it's stupid. Yes, I'm sure you've had some bad experiences with police. If you're, dark skinned, if you're black, if you're, Hispanic, if you're like my brother-in-law Sri Lankan, yeah, you've had some bad experiences, and my heart breaks for that, because you don't deserve it. Nobody should. I think if you're an ass, then you deserve to have whatever happens to you, and if you're not, people should treat you on who you are. I was lucky enough that I was raised in a family where my parents were extremely progressive. I didn't realize it at the time, but my parents from the time I was a little kid said, of course women should be paid as much as men. Why wouldn't they be? Of course gay people should get married. Who cares? Why is that any of your business? Doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with you. It's their right. They should do what they want. Of course you should treat everybody the same way, whether they're black, brown, purple, green, polka dot. It's who they are and how they act that is important, and that's how you treat people. I was lucky. I was raised that way by a very progressive family, and I didn't realize it till later. And my dad is almost 83 years old. I mean, he's way ahead of his time. I am, for me, very socially progressive. I think everybody should be respected, and I'm never going to be a guy that's racist. I'm just not. Nor am I going to care if you're gay. If you're gay, great, good for you. My friend Brett, and I want to close with this. My friend Brett said to me one time, Brett is gay, and he said, being gay is the least interesting thing about me. And I want to let that sink in for a minute, because I'll tell you, being a personal trainer is much more interesting about me than me being straight. I don't think about being straight ever. Gay people don't think about being gay ever. Being white is the least interesting thing about me too. It's just not a thing. No, I don't give a shit. White, brown, black, it shouldn't be that important. We are humans. We should be in this together, and we should stand up and fight racism and inequality at any opportunity. But we need to realize that those police officers that are good are on board with us. And the ones that are bad, there's less of them. So why don't we work with the ones that are good to push out the ones that are bad and get some real change? Stay safe, everybody. Hope that the U.S. things calm down and we get actual change. I'm very hopeful. And to the family of George Floyd, my heart breaks for you. It's awful. I don't care what you do. You don't deserve to be killed. Devin out.